So then, I'm not gonna lie, this episode took me by surprise quite a bit because it was written by Honda, who, if you don't know, is the person who is behind such magnificent episodes such as the Chocho arc. So I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't a huge fan of Honda's work going into this, and I kind of set my expectations a little bit low, and that may be a bit shallow of me. I maybe shouldn't have done that because this episode did shock me. Like I said, I thought it was mainly just the bonding between Sekiei and Mitsuki, and we got quite a few interesting bits from that. However, I didn't think it was done really well. It was really emotional, the way they kind of made you feel for Sekiei. I kind of thought for a second that he might have actually died, even though realistically he probably wouldn't have died. I mean, it's kind of expected that he's probably going to be the main focus, I think, of these bad guys, except for maybe like Lord Ku. But out of the kind of like all synthetic human things, I think Sekiei, maybe Kokyo, I think they're going to be the main ones. So probably it's still a bit early for him to die. However, they did really make you feel for him. I've been saying it now for quite a few weeks that these villains, I think, are a bit kind of I'm not really feeling them a great deal, except for Sekiei. I really enjoyed Sekiei's personality, and it was a bit of like an emotional roller coaster because Sekiei was suspecting Mitsuki, saying how all along he knew that Mitsuki had a secret. He didn't kill the Leaf Shinobi, and he actually threatened to kill Mitsuki, but he very quickly changed to, you know, being like, listen, it's a secret between us two, because Mitsuki brought up how Chocho was saying how friends have secrets and whatnot and special things between them, and Sekiei was like, oh, so that's kind of like us then, and you know, this can be our secret. If I die here, no one will know that you betrayed us and kept the Leaf Shinobi alive. So I thought that was quite interesting. Really excited to see where they kind of take the whole Mitsuki and Sekiei relationship. I have my theories, and this is kind of coming off the whole potential foreshadowing from Sekiei when him and Mitsuki were talking about tears and crying, how Mitsuki was saying he's never cried before, and Sekiei saying that, you know, what is it? What's it feel like? He's never experienced it either. He doesn't know what it is. I think, because we've already seen Sekiei almost die in this episode, and we know he's sick. And I think it's kind of, they gave him this shot, and I feel as though that shot isn't a cure. I think it's just kind of just slowly just keep him alive for a little bit longer. And I think eventually he's going to get to the point where he's unsavable. And I think that'll probably be kind of towards the climax of the arc. I think Sekiei will get to the point beyond saving. He will die. And I think, you know, it might be a bit similar to this, how like he's with Mitsuki. And I think over the course of time leading up to that, I think their bond between each other, I think, will get better and better. And I think as Sekiei dying, I think he may shed a tear and, you know, all of that. I think that would be quite emotional, quite good, and some interesting foreshadowing leading back to today's episode. That's my theory anyway. We'll see. But there was another couple of lines which came up in this piece of dialogue between Sekiei and Mitsuki, which I thought was quite interesting. That was Sekiei and Mitsuki talking about Boruto, more specifically the sun, because we all know that Mitsuki calls Boruto his sun, his light, his sun, all of that type of stuff. And Mitsuki was saying that he thinks maybe, you know, maybe these feelings are also artificially created, because we all know why Mitsuki looks to Boruto like this, because obviously that scroll that Orochimaru log were protecting and all that. So there was this interesting line from Sekiei saying that, you know, I'm paraphrasing here, I don't remember the exact quote from him, but he said something along the lines of, you know, the sun, the closer you get to it, the more it hurts you. And I thought that was quite specific and quite interesting because, well, for a start, it's true. And obviously Mitsuki calling Boruto his son, was this maybe kind of hinting towards a foreshadowing towards at some point that Boruto may do something to hurt Mitsuki, maybe betray him, attack him, just ditch him and abandon him? We know Kawaki's going to come into the picture at some point, and maybe Kawaki could like take Mitsuki's his place and become like a third wheel, pushing Mitsuki out the group. You know, it might be something just silly and stupid just like that. But I thought it was quite interesting, and I thought I'd bring it up because I'm sure some of you guys out there have some very interesting points about that. And another thing I just want to say, and I don't know maybe if this is me kind of misinterpreting it, but Kokyo, he appeared again in this episode with Sekiei and Mitsuki, and obviously right at the end of last week's episode, Kokyo was saying how, you know, his suspicions of Mitsuki have been cleared, essentially saying that, you know what, I was wrong, you've cleared your suspicions, I trust you now. And then straight away, at the beginning of this episode. The very first interaction between Kokyo and Mitsuki was Kokyo saying, "I don't trust you." Now, whether that was on purpose or maybe it's just a bit of a kind of piece of miscommunication between the writers, I'm not too sure, because the thing was a bit odd. Whether it's just Kokyo has just, you know, had a simple change of mind, I don't know, but it'd be a bit weird because I imagine the time difference between the end of last episode and this episode couldn't have been far. It looks like maybe a day at most has passed, because last week ended in the dark and then this one was in the sunset, or I believe it was the sunset. Yeah, it was the sunset, so I suppose it's just been about a day that has passed, something along that, and then Kokyo's gone straight back to just not trusting him again. So maybe it's just he's had a change of heart, but I thought they could have done a better job of kind of highlighting that and translating that into the episode, because I just picked up on it thinking it was a, you know, a little bit weird. I'm not too sure, but we saw the Tsuchikage and Lord Ku. The first time we've seen Lord Ku in action with that other guy, the other non-human dude who's got spiky red hair, who reminds me a little bit of Zora from Black Clover. But he appeared and he fought the Tsuchikage, and I see so many people just ridiculing, just going at the Tsuchikage all over Twitter today, because I admit she wasn't fantastic, but you can say that you can tell that as soon as she saw and looked into the face of Lord Ku, she recognised it. And I think a lot of people kind of just expected this to be the thing from weeks and weeks ago, that Lord Ku seems like it's going to be that grandson of Onoki. I can't remember his exact name. It's like Kurotsu. No, I have no idea. But obviously that is, I believe, Kurotsuchi, the Tsuchikage's little brother. I would imagine it's her little brother. So I personally can give her a pass. I think, you know, if she was fighting against someone, looked into their eyes and then found out it was her little brother, which she's presumed to be dead for years, you know, I'd be pretty shook as well. And you could tell that when she was captured and in that cage sealed away, she just looked like mad depressed. So my theory is that she didn't get beaten up. I mean, she didn't really have a scratch in her at all in that cave, and neither did Lord Ku. So I imagine that she was either so shook that she just became an easy target to just pick up and go away, or she willingly kind of went along to maybe ask some questions. That's my guess. I think we'll probably get to know a little bit more of what was going on there, but my guess is that once she found out it was her little brother, which she presumed to be dead for years and years, she probably willingly went with him to be captured, you know, just so that she can maybe learn about something, because, you know, that's gonna shake you up. Something I saw people talking about was Garaga's old contract master, whatever you call it. And obviously he wasn't really brought up at all in this episode. But we know that, looking by the preview, that Garaga is going to make an appearance next week. And people were thinking, you know, is Garaga's old master going to make an appearance in this arc? And I think it'd be quite possible. I mean, we know in Naruto that, you know, when someone random appears in a flashback, they tend to have, you know, a bit of relevancy in the arc going forward. For example, Lord Ku. So maybe it'll be the same with Garaga's master. Now, what we know about Garaga's master is that he's from the Sand Village. I mean, we saw that in the flashback. He was in a village full of sand, and that palace they were defending, we actually saw in Shippuden, I believe, at some point. Maybe it was during a filler arc, something like that. But that is like a building, a palace in the Sand Village. So we know that Garaga's old summoner was from the Sand Village. Now, we also see in the opening that Shinki and his team, the Sand Squad, are going to be making an appearance. Now, whether that's going to be for this arc or maybe the next one, we don't know. But if they are, the Sand Village are going to play a role at some point. And if this is going to be the arc, then, you know, it's a good way to tie in Garaga's old master. Now, my opinion is that maybe Garaga's old master didn't necessarily betray Garaga. Maybe he did something a little bit like Mitsuki, and it'd be a nice little bonding session, you know, relatable thing between Boruto and Garaga, because obviously we saw last week that Mitsuki struck Boruto with lightning, knocking him out. When he woke up, Mitsuki's gone. What happened with Garaga? Yes. Do you see where I'm going with this? Garaga had his friend, his summoner, his master with him, and then he betrayed him, struck him with lightning. Garaga was knocked out. When he awoke, he wasn't there. So maybe they'll strike a little bit of a parallel between Garaga and his master with Boruto and Mitsuki, and maybe Mitsuki will save Boruto, and I think maybe that Garaga's old master will appear at some point and save Garaga and kind of lead Garaga into trusting shinobis again, and then it'll be a nice little bonding session between Garuga and Boruto, because obviously they're temporary summoning duo at the minute, and whether they stay like that for the foreseeable future, I'm not too sure, but I think at some point, whether this arc or not, Boruto and Garuga will have a full-on proper contract between the two at some point, and he'll become Boruto's main summoning. So that's just a bit of, you know, food for thought. See what you guys think of all that. I think it's very plausible, but we'll see. One thing which kind of not necessarily annoyed me, but I just want to bring up, is that Chocho, Inujin and Shikadai are back once again. Now, if you saw my last review, I think it was last review, yeah, I was saying, you know, we saw that they retreated, and I was saying, okay, they went away once and came back again, you know, and now they've gone. Don't bring them back again. Don't keep reusing the same trick. And admittedly, they didn't exactly reuse the same trick, because last week I did say, don't have them go and then bring them back in the last minute to save them in a fight. You know, they didn't really do that, but still, I kind of would have liked it if they just kind of went now, you know, the whole them coming and going thing, it's kind of faded away at this point, at least it has for me, but, you know, we'll see. I don't mind those guys, I quite like them. I like Inujin, I think he's extremely sarcastic, and I feel as though he's me, just in Boruto. I like Shikadai, you know, Shikamaru's great, Shikadai has to be great as well. The Nara clan, best clan, super smart, and then Chocho gets a ton of hate, but personally I don't mind her that much, so, you know, they're welcome in the arc, just don't stop having them coming and going. It's just, it gets a little bit repetitive if you know what I mean. But guys, that was it for this episode. I also want to point out that the soundtrack that played during that emotional scene between Sekiei and Mitsuki, mwah, top tier soundtrack. But guys, thank you so much for watching. Fantastic episode, like I said. Subscribe if you're not already to become a member of the Senpai Squad. Leave all your thoughts and opinions on the episode in the comment section down below. And I'll see you guys in another video. But until then, peace.